What is this late breaking news? Report NCAA opens investigation into Michigan over alleged in-person scouting violations. They're coming out. They're coming out. Jim Harbaugh cheating again now.
Wait, it's a dirty program.
The allegation is you're not allowed to scout your opponent in person before the game. What the hell does that mean?
Dirty program.
It means you were cheating.
That's not good, Dave.
I mean, yeah, that just...
You can't send somebody to advanced scout.
Bunch of cheaters.
I'm going to call Charlie Baker.
The NCAA has alerted the Big Ten.
Get on it, Dave.
The league confirmed to another place without revealing specifics.
You're sending spies to spy on your opponents?
Without revealing specifics is kind of lame. Like, if you're going to put this out there, you should probably tell everybody what's going on.
You know, when they slapped him on the wrist for buying cheeseburgers for those recruits, so NCAA really invited this. They invited this.
To say that you can't advance scout a football team, what are you talking
Illegal.
Is being alleged to send unnamed individuals to attend opponents' game to gather information on the signs they use for play calls.
Just a dirty, rotten, cheating, lying program.
Really sad, Dave. Really sad.
Bunch of lying, cheating scumbags.
Damn. All right, well, breaking news. So the story will be developing.
So much for Michigan, men.
I absolutely love it. When you're king of the mountain, when you're the baddest boy in the block, everybody's coming at. This is like the Patriots all over again. Listen, no one's coming for me right now with the Patriots.
If the Patriots had never won a playoff game.
Or done anything of any significance.
Big Ten
ever. Championship.
No. They come at you when you're the king. When you got the big gloves, the heavyweight champ. These stories start. I've been through it for 20 years.
Heavy is the crown.
Bring them on.
Yeah, heavy is the crown.
Bring them on. Yeah, exactly. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
All right, now to the Michigan sign stealing investigation that seems to have consumed the world of college football.
And it never gets any clearer, it seems.
Yeah.
Bernie's here now as Central Michigan has now fallen into the fray because we've had some video surface that certainly seems to show Connor Stallion on the sideline of their game with Michigan State.
Absolutely. And we like to call him the king of the Michigan sign-stealing scandal, has widened his path. Connor Stallions was on the sidelines for Central Michigan's opening game against Michigan State. It appears that way. The reason it's big is it'll be the first evidence that Stallions violated off-campus in-person scouting. We've got highlights. Watch Stallions all the way on the right there. You see him with the head, with the hat and the dark glasses. After Central beat Northern last night, CMU head coach Jim McElwain not happy about the sign-stealing situation. He promised CMU would get to the bottom of it all.
I do know that his name was on none of the passes that were let out. Now we just keep tracing it back and try to figure it out. But it's in good hands with our people. And again, you know, there's no place in football for that.
That's Jim McElwain. Some are wondering if the glasses that Stallions wore just might have a camera in them. More on this story coming up.
So I'm going to ask a silly question. So he was allegedly working for the University of Michigan, but on the sidelines.
He's on their payroll.
Yes. On their on their payroll, but on the CMU sidelines, dressed in CMU gear, but on Michigan's payroll. Allegedly, if that is
allegedly all that, and possibly shooting video of Michigan State with their signs going in and out because they would play Michigan State later in the year.
And he was wearing sunglasses at night, to quote the old Corey Hart song.
Was it at night?
He had some sunglasses on and some of the, yes.
Well, the lights are bright.
Yeah, it's very bright, yes. All right,
so see a little bit
more on that coming up.
Yeah.
Switching sports because we have breaking news that will potentially impact the college football playoff. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh is prohibited from being on the sideline until the conclusion of the regular season by the Big Ten, sources tell ESPN's Pete Thamel. This discipline is in response to the in-person scouting and ongoing sign-stealing investigation that Michigan is facing. Now that Harbaugh will be allowed to coach during the week, afterward, no, during the games, he will not. What is your instant reaction to this?
This is an overreaction. But look, there's no question Michigan broke some rules here, Sinead. My thing is the rules are nonsense about scouting. So you can call up your buddies in another team and not only get information that you've gleaned about that team from just having played them, but share it with other teams, yet you can't pay a scout to go. This is nonsense. But
judge will hear the university's argument for a restraining order that would lift the Big Ten's 3-game suspension of Harbaugh related to this sign-stealing scandal. Here's Harbaugh on his team.
It's got to be America's team. It's got to be America's team. America loves a team that beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes what the naysayers and critics, so-called experts think. That's my favorite kind of team.
America's team. The bold take right there, Paul Feinbaum, Shannon Sharp. Paul, you're up first. First, I just want you to react to that sound we just heard.
It's patently absurd, Molly. I mean, I appreciate Coach Harbaugh for trying to put a spin on this, but it just doesn't work. He is not a victim. He is the villain here. In many ways, instead of being America's team, Jim Harbaugh has become the Darth Vader of college football. He's the most polarizing figure in the game. He is widely reviled. It's not because he's a bad coach. He's an excellent coach. He just is apparently, according to the Big Ten and the NCAA, trying to do things that are simply untoward. Last Saturday was the 10th college football game of the year. Guess what? It was the 4th time Jim Harbaugh has been out of a game because he's been suspended. I mean, this is not somebody that was pulled off the bus because some authority didn't like the way he looked. He was pulled off the bus because he is accused of cheating, not specifically, but within his program, and he is ultimately responsible for that.
Was Harbaugh's punishment, those final 3 games, enough?
No, because I'm not even thinking about Harbaugh, Dan, Shannon, when it comes to the punishment. I'm thinking about the Michigan program. What the hell is going on here? I don't understand why people are having such a difficult time comprehending what the hell I'm saying. If the Big Ten and the NCAA have deduced that you have gained an unfair advantage through unsavory means, meaning that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you've compromised the integrity of competition because you gained an unfair edge/advantage. That's all I need to know. You cannot have a college football program in the college football playoffs at the expense of another team with that specter hovering over you this season. It doesn't require a death penalty. It doesn't require loss of scholarships. It doesn't require you missing the playoffs next year or anything like that. But this season, as this season was going on, as you were en route to a 9-0 record, it was discovered you had someone on your staff who was literally infiltrating other sidelines, stealing signals and signs to feed back to a coaching staff who fed it to players, and the players presumably had an unfair advantage.
Sign stealing. Are you outraged?
No, I think that is totally on you. If you, and I think there's probably a few people watching right now that could connect maybe a few dots. Bruce Feldman wrote an amazing piece about this years ago. I don't know if you've seen that, but Bruce wrote just a deep dive. And I remember sharing with Bruce, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to share all this stuff, right? It's one of those just kind of unwritten, you don't love to talk about. Do you have a story? Oh, do I have a story? I mean, I played for the greatest sign stealer that ever lived.
Who?
I can't say that, Colin. I can't say who it is.
Was he a player? Or?
No, he wasn't a player. He was in the organization. He was unbelievable. He was a Unabomber. And he would spend time talking to his plants, and he figured it out. And he was the only place, college, pro, is the only one place in all of my years where I was like, wow, this guy can really do it. And he's doing what everyone was doing, and that is you go to the opposing field and you watch the defensive coordinator and you write it all down. And then it's like code, right? So I have all these signals, right? So when he does this or any of the code, and then I got to match it to the actual game tape. And then I got to figure out what the actual calls are. And then in real time, I got to see what's actually going on. And then in real time, I got to communicate to the coordinator, who then's got to communicate to the quarterback. I mean, there's so many avenues. This isn't banging a drum for a baseball player and like, oh, okay, or Altuve wearing whatever he was wearing to tell him, you know, hey, if it beeps once, it's a fastball twice. Like, there are so many more mechanisms to make it happen in a football game in real time. There was only one place that could do it, and he did it unbelievably well. But even with that, how many plays out of 60 plays in a game?
3.
Yeah, maybe 3, maybe a blitz. You know, maybe like, okay, here comes a blitz. So we could block the blitz up and hit it.
And you got to get it through to the people fast.
Yes.
So let me ask you, one of the smartest players in league history, and you're a Sharpie, is Peyton Manning. So he was yelling Omaha. Did Omaha mean something different every week? Because he had to hide stuff.
Oh, he had to constantly change everything up, you know, and now he's going to kill me for saying this, and this is the answer. The answer is just simply to wear a wristband, right? You know, for an offensive player, just wear a wristband. I know Russell doesn't like wearing wristbands, but wear a wristband.
The compass doesn't point towards them admitting anything. Like, they're a victim, they're America's team, due process, but it still feels like they did something wrong. They just don't want to be punished this way for doing something wrong.
Dan, they did something wrong. Whether Harbaugh ordered it or not, he's responsible. That's what the rule book says, whether you like the rules of the NCAA or not, and I don't. And, you know, I have friends who say, well, the NCAA is out to get them. But if you go back, if Jim Harbaugh had just agreed to dismiss whatever these allegations were during COVID, level 2 allegation, it would be over, but he wouldn't. I mean, Jim Harbaugh he's so recalcitrant. He just wouldn't admit to doing anything. I mean, he's one of those, we all know people like that from high school until right now that will never admit that they're wrong. And that's what gets him in trouble every time. And I think whether the NCAA had an axe to grind or not, I mean, he pushed them to this point. But I think all these other coaches coming in, you hear from coaches, I hear from coaches, and they all believe, the ones I hear from, I should say, that Harbaugh gained not a slight advantage, but a significant advantage, and something should be done. And I frankly don't think a 3-game suspension is that big of a deal, even considering the weight of next week's game. I think if Petiti had turned his head, then it would have looked ridiculous. I applaud him for doing it, and whether it goes anywhere from here, it probably won't, because the NCAA is not really equipped any longer to do an investigation under 3 or 4 years.
If Michigan wins the national title, will you recognize them as national champs?
I will refuse to recognize Michigan as the national champs. I was taught that athletics should be an even playing field, and to me, they are not subscribing to that.
I cannot. Favorite day of the year. It's our annual Beat the Fuck Out of Ohio Day. There is no tradition like this. Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, and Beat the Fuck Out of Ohio Day. Every single year we come in, student body left, student body right. We don't need signals to jam it down your ass. I'm excited. We wait, and all we hear is crying and this and Harbaugh and signals. Buddy, we're running the ball down your fucking face. How hard is that? America's team is right. We are America's team. Everybody should root for us. I am so excited, so great to be back in Ann Arbor. I cannot wait. Ohio may be dead. Their program may be dead when this game's over. Done. Cannot wait.
Reese Davis on the platform there to take us through the trophy presentation. Reese?
It is a delighted trophy stand here as the Michigan Wolverines are the college football playoff national champions. The offensive player of the game tonight from Michigan is Blake Corum. Blake. Like, you guys were able to set the tone early. You ran for more yards in the first half than Washington had given up in a game all season. How do you think that set the tone for the rest of the night?
We knew we needed to set it early. The offensive line, shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the tight ends and receivers. Y'all really killed it today. Michigan, we did this for you.
You were coming back off an injury, didn't get a chance to do the things you wanted to do a year ago, and you guys had a singular focus all year. Now that this moment's been realized, how does it compare to what you imagined it would be?
This is everything I imagined. When we said to come back, it was a lot of us. We said we had unfinished business. So I'll leave y'all with this. Business is finished.
The business was indeed finished. Over 100 yards tonight. The head coach of the Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh. Hey, Jim, congratulations.
Thank you.
I heard you tell Holly Rowe that each one of these pieces of confetti had a story. What story are these confetti pieces telling right now?
It was a journey, a spiritual journey. Just took counsel from God, the Holy Spirit, this team, everybody, unanimous support for each other. I ain't got a question, but my dad does.
Jack Harbaugh, what's your question?
I have a question. A question, if I might. Who has us? No!
What does this mean, Jim, to be able to share this? Those look good on you, pal. Those look good on you.
Will Johnson, too. Will Johnson, too.
What does it mean to be able to share this with your dad, your brother John here, and to reach this pinnacle for a university and a place you love?
Yeah, I just want to say to my two great loves, my family at work, this team, and my family at home, I love you. I love you. Congratulations.
Jim, when you think about what your mission was when you came back to Michigan, a Michigan man, which you says means so much to you, what does this mean for Michigan football big picture in the modern era, the first undisputed championship?
15-0. This is a spectacular team. And I would just say there are over 100 Michigan men that are on this team in uniform tonight. And what they've done for the last 372 days is amazing. They're champions, simply known as national champions. Pull it down! Pull it down! We did that! We did that!
Did it indeed, and to the victor, the spoils.
To present the national championship trophy to Coach Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines.
There it is. They won't pull that down. Chris, as they say in Ann Arbor, conquering heroes, victors valiant, Michigan national champions for the 2023 season. Chris, back to you.
Like today's bad. Today's really bad. So you gotta.
Oh. Hey, boys. Are we ready to go here? Welcome to the rundown. I don't even know what day it is. It's after. I'll just call this the day after Michigan won the national championship, took control of the college football world and the world, and really reestablished themselves as the only school that matters in college football. The most wins, the national champions, the fights on all of it, the pomp and pageant. So I don't know what the date is.
What did Michigan prove to you with that win?
Molly, they proved they were the best team in college football, and I think that's really what this is all about. As far as what Coach Harbaugh said in relation to innocence or guilt, that's no longer really an issue for this college football season. it's been hashed on, and the historians can decide at some other point. But nothing is going to take anything away from what the University of Michigan did last night. They were dominating. They were physical. They beat Alabama on the way to this, which I think helped validate what happened last night in terms of knocking off Washington. There will be those down in Georgia today who will say, we're better, but you know what? You lost the SEC championship game. You didn't get in the tournament. So nobody really wants to hear from you people.
Paul, you're absolutely right, and I think that's the only argument that I wish Georgia could have taken care of business in the SEC championship as much as I rooted for Alabama, because I think that would have been a better matchup. But as you said, that's a discussion for another day. When you look at what Coach Harbaugh did and you look at what they've done, they had been knocking at the door the previous 2 years, and they've come up short. So they came back in the third year on a mission. Let's complete the task. And that's what they did. They beat Ohio State. They won another Big Ten title. As he said, if you play in the Big Ten or the Pac-10, you want to get to and win the Rose Bowl. They got to. They won the Rose Bowl on the way to winning a national championship. And you look at who they beat along the way. They beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State. They beat Alabama. They beat Washington. They are the best team. They deserve the crown, and to the victor go the spoils. And whatever you want to think about Coach Harbaugh, the one thing that you cannot say, that he's not a damn good coach. Whatever level you put him on, the collegiate level, the NFL level, he's a damn good coach. Yes, he might grind you down over a period of time, but the facts speak for themselves. They are the national champions, and they deserve to be. Excuse me, they earned the right to be called national. Go ahead, Stephen A. Sorry.
Yeah, they don't worry about it. They earn the right to be called national champions. You're both right. They're the best team in college football. There's no disputing that. But I think it's also important that we say a couple of more things. He's not a damn good coach. He's a great coach. Because when you're coaching the NFL for 4 years and you go to 3 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl, I mean, there's greatness attached to that, because we don't see too many coaches doing that on the National Football League level. And then to do so collegiately, to inherit this program and knowing what kind of shambles it was in when he arrived on board. And then what do you do, particularly over the last 3 seasons? You remember, there was once upon a time, Paul Feinbaum knows this better than most, where he was on a hot seat. There were questions as to whether or not he was going to survive at Michigan. Paul Feinbaum brought that up and basically highlighted how he didn't deserve it. And by the way, I'm here to defend Paul Feinbaum, because at that particular moment in time, he was absolutely right in what he was saying at that time. But in the 3 years since, look at this record right here, guys. He's 40-3 overall, 26-1 in Big Ten competition, 3 consecutive Big Ten titles, 3-0 against Ohio State, 3 consecutive college football berths, and now he's a national champion. This man has restored the Michigan Wolverines to the national prominence that they swore they had all of these years, undeservedly so, I might add, but now it is finally officially deserved.
Like that coach literally, like Woody Hayes, like wouldn't even say Michigan. I mean, that's just
these guys.
This is a whole other level.
It's a totally, like right now, it's a school up north. You know, and now I see on Twitter, anybody who tweets at me, they X out the M in Michigan, and it's just like, grow up. And now,
No, you got to enjoy that. It's killing them. It's killing them. They are miserable.
I know. Isn't that great?
Miserable. Yeah, they're miserable. They, and they're still trying to find their footing with their new coach, and I mean, they literally played you this year without your head coach, which I thought, that's going to be a disaster, and it didn't happen. And I would just like to put to bed that whole, you're not stealing signs, you're attempting to steal signs.
Yes, yes, Bill. See,
and it is a skill. It's a skill. All right. Look, I mean, this is how I look at it.
Yeah.
If you can hire the Michigan's former linebackers coach for just a month and talk to him about their playbook. Yeah. I don't think somebody with binoculars or a camera trying to figure out what a picture of a box of wheat checks and Dorothy Hamill and an arrow means. I mean, to sit there and act, that's why they won the games. Oh, is it? And there's another thing, too, is every single team you watch when they talk, they're going like this. They got stuff up, because everybody is doing it. So, Michigan paid like a huge price. They lost their coach for 3 games. And I'm sure there was, I don't know how draft picks and stuff work, but I'm sure there was some sort of sanctions. Usually when that happens to a football program, they nosedive for a little while, and you guys turn around and won the championship. So, but I wouldn't put it past Buckeye fans whining about it, because that's a part of the college football tradition.
Yes. This
time of year is Ohio State fans crying about the refs or how they should have made the playoffs and yada, yada, yada. And evidently, they're sort of the new Notre Dame. Like, remember Notre Dame when we were growing up? They acted like everyone else was on steroids except for them, but somehow their players were the same size. There's always that one God loves us the best and we do everything right school. The Cowboys were that for a long time until they all got caught doing blow. That was the 70s, though. That was back in the 70s. They didn't all get caught, though, but
Welcome to Part of My Take. Today is Wednesday, January 10th. And boys, the world has been restored. The Big Ten is back on top. Michigan Wolverines are your 2023-24 national champions in college football. And our close personal friend Jim Harbaugh has finally done it. He can sit at the big boy table now. He's done it.
A lot of people said bad things about Coach Harbaugh. Pretty much what you just indicated, that he's not allowed at the big boys table. I heard Paul Feinbaum today do something I've never heard Paul Feinbaum do. He admitted he was wrong.
Yeah.
Paul Feinbaum said, I've never been wrong about anything as much as I've been wrong about Harbaugh and Michigan. They held opponents to, I believe, 10.4 points per game this year. They held every single team under 25 points for the first time in 150 years.
And
100, that's before the forward pass.
Yeah.
So
that's before Michigan was playing doctors and physicians in 1900 and counting it to their total wins.
They probably played their freshman team against their seniors and grad students, beat the freshman team. They're like, that's another national title.
Another win. 1,000 wins.
150 years ago, Minnesota did that. It hasn't been done since. It's Michigan's first solo national title since 1948.
Harbaugh did it his way. That's the part that I love for Jim Harbaugh, because you've seen college football change. You need the 5 stars. Spread offense, all this stuff. Harbaugh said, no, I'm going to build it in the mold of how I love football. I'm going to build a team that leans on you for quarter after quarter after quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, you're going to be like, no mas, and we break it wide open. And I feel bad for Washington, but Washington fans, as much as it sucks right now, I just want to say this. Michigan was always going to win that game. That is what Michigan does. They make you think it's close, and then when you get to the fourth quarter, and you're just so sick of getting the ball shoved down your throat, and their defense just keeps tackling everyone, they basically bend your will, and Harbaugh gets his way, and that's just what they've done all season, what they've done basically for the last 3 years outside the Georgia and TCU game, and that is what happened last night. So as much as it sucks for Washington, I really, truly believe Michigan was the best team by a large margin in college football this year. Because there was that time when it was the argument was, okay, Michigan can't beat Ohio State. They don't have the same dudes as Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, these upper echelon teams. Then the last couple of years, it was Michigan has created themselves to a point where they can beat Ohio State, but they can't beat the Georgia and Alabamas. Like, Ohio State's better equipped to win those type of games. Last year when Georgia almost lost to Ohio State. Now he's finally come all the way where it's like, no, he built a team that can just bully everyone in the country. And he did it.
He's got the big bullies right now, and they deserve to win. Credit to Michigan, and I do like Coach Harbaugh. I think he's hilarious. He's a funny guy. College football is better with figures like him in it.
Yep.
I also think this proves that cheaters win. Like, in the long term, everybody cheats. All right, this is not just Michigan. Every school, every major school in the country, they cheat in certain ways. Michigan found a hilarious, over-the-top, absolutely ridiculous way to cheat for the last couple of years, and they won. If you can cheat and cheat better than anybody, really college football is about who is the best at cheating. And Michigan was really fucking good at cheating.
They were really good. And Hank, you're our number one expert on cheating. What do you think Michigan fans should say when people say, oh, this is a tainted national title?
They're just mad that, Michigan was doing well. It's something that everyone else in college football is doing. People just tried to make us think about Michigan, but as the facts have proven, every other team is doing it as well.
And Connor Stallions rocks.
Yes.
He is the most.
They're just mad that Connor Stallions was the best at it.
Yeah, and he also
true hate us because they ain't us.
And he's really, really good at cheating.
And he's funny.
He went to the Naval Academy to learn how to cheat.
He cared so much about, like, Connor Stalions was the big winner last night because Connor Stalions' manifesto turned out to be true. Yep. He wrote a manifesto and saw it through.
He did it.
Yeah, he literally did it.
He might be the first person to ever write a manifesto, accomplish all the goals in their manifesto, and not end up in prison.
Right. Yeah. He went from a vacuum cleaner salesman to a manifesto checkmark.
I would hire Connor Stalions to do any job in the world.
I wish Barstool would hire him. I wish that was still on the table. I would like to just give him an office, black out the glass, and just be like, he's our own Ernie Adams. We don't ask him questions.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, hey, I've done some research. This other show's doing this. You guys got to do this.
I want you to take down Bleacher Report once and for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I want Connor Stalions on my side. But yeah, it was, I don't really, people who are like, oh, this is tainted.
Not tainted.
Well, not only that, but they won the teams that they played, Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Washington, all happened post Connor Stalions.
Yes.
So it's like, and they basically spent an entire season being like, it's us against the world, while also saying they were America's team.
They are. I mean, cheating and getting away with it. There's nothing more American than that.
Yeah, you could see in that like locker room, like there was quotes like, guys, like the haters are crying right now. Like that locker room, they had it all together because like the whole world was against them. We also.
Indeed it is. Michigan wins the national title. Booger McFarland with us all morning long, and there he is, Sir Paul Feinbaum, who has been Jim Harbaugh's long-standing sparring partner, all of the back and forth over all the years. And so the table is set. America is waiting. Paul, Jim Harbaugh has won the national championship. What is your reaction?
I say congratulations. And Greeny, I was cheering for him last night, and I can't explain it. I'm sure it's some weird thing back when I was a baby or something. But I don't know if I've ever been more wrong about anything in my entire life. I didn't think the guy would ever beat Ohio State. I said on your show a couple of years ago, if I live to be 150, and I'm getting close. But the point being, this is truly remarkable. And I don't want to be wrong about something, Greeny. You never want to be wrong. But if you're going to be epically wrong, out of this constellation, out of this universe wrong, I'll take it. And I think Jim Harbaugh has silenced all those who doubted him in the early days. I'm not talking about what's happened this year. That's a whole different story. But in the end, he has proven everyone wrong.
How do you respond to the haters who think that this title is tainted?
I mean, should I respond to them in the same way? One of my favorite sound bites from our SportsCenter years, Dan, was Patrick Waugh saying, I can't hear you with my ring in my ear. You know what I mean? Like that's the answer. The haters. Come on, man. I mean, seriously, the proverbial, usually when people or teams or athletes, coaches win championships and say no one can take it away from us, there's the NCAA. They might attempt to take it away from us this entire time.
True.
That has been percolating, but let them try. And Charles Woodson said it on my show when I had him on after the Rose Bowl victory. If people talk about asterisks or tainted, as I know you guys have on the program, that the bottom line is I'll just put on my national championship hat and my shirt and go about my business. I'm not used to being the villain, Dan. I'm not used to rooting for a team and being the villain. I'm learning on the fly, and so that's the way I'm going with it.
Off the field issues, we're innocent. And we stood strong and tall because we knew we were innocent. And I just like to point that out. And these guys are innocent. And yeah, overcome that. It wasn't that hard because we knew we were innocent. So yeah, that's really what I want to say. It went exactly how we wanted it to go. It went exactly how we wanted it to go.